So there's a
We
couple.
are live.
So there's a couple things. I'm addicted to progress. Let me see.
Okay. Did you also notice something about my connection?
What's wrong with your connection?
It's significantly better now.
Uh,
I was able to ditch my existing complicated setup of masts and stuff like that. And luckily for me, my estate got fiber, so I was able to get fiber in.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even have fiber support where I stay at.
Wow, really?
I don't know if it's because I'm on the ocean and there's some like technical challenges to lay that type of wire. I don't know.
Mm,
I mean, I would assume there's wires laid regardless, but it's just a different type, right?
yeah, yeah. So, what have you been working on? What have you been up to?
I'm trying to maintain a
Mm,
minimum of an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening of passion project. So I keep laying this brick gradually until I have something to show for it. So
mm,
right now I've been trying to integrate this rental aspect of this app,
mm.
and so like I think this is going to be the number one seller, man. Like
Okay.
women can't disconnect. They can't. And so they turn into drug addicts when it comes to their phones, man. They have to stay connected. And so like rent this out for 12 whatever dollars an hour.
Hmm.
Um Now this shopping cart thing gets updated.
Okay.
I gotta add a back button. Also implemented this. I have all this, right? I got two of these. These are like $500 a piece, and I've been
Mm,
testing it out on the beach. So
okay.
like I built the rental like service, like the back end service.
Uh-huh.
That took me like maybe 3 weeks to build. So that stuff is working kind of for the most part. But
Okay.
I still have to implement the whole workflow for what it means to rent equipment because it's not just drop off, but it's pick back up
Okay.
and like what how do you model the the expenses and the payments right for the courier like so I mean it probably won't be that complicated but like with food
Uh-huh.
you would just you just you know pick a like all American Grand Slam with an Oreo shake
Mm,
and the courier would just drop it off and that would be it but with these rentals things are a little bit look at that I'm not sure I gotta fix that with the rentals like I think there's a little bit more involved with the orchestration
mm,
and I gotta have like notifications because this is by the hour and like what if there's miscommunication and they don't return it or the courier goes back to pick up the equipment and like I don't know it's some things I still have to figure out but
yeah.
this is offline, so it's not connected to any web servers. But like, it should be the same workflow when I launch. If I were to check out and this was actually wired up to some backend services, it would be the same workflow that I think you've seen already, right?
Yeah.
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 So just a recap. It's just over here. Oh, I'm in like three different masterminds. Let me
Yeah.
see. So the workflow is let's fast forward a little bit. So they do a checkout
Uh-huh.
and verify payment method, and then they order. And this, yeah. So like you've seen all this.
Yeah.
Uh, Still have my Microsoft tickets open, but they for the most part resolved my SignalR issue.
Okay.
It's,
So
it's been like
what was the problem with Signal?
there's a whole bunch of configuration issues.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um. So, and then I still have an Azure Topics issue that's open. Uh, I mean, slowly but surely,
Mm.
I'm getting there. And that's pretty much it. So,
Then turn left.
yeah, so this is the whole demo with the
Mm. Navigation.
thing. Yeah, so I don't feel like playing the rest of it. Uh, this, yeah. So I'm thinking like I was listening to. Well, where do I start? I'm thinking that because I need to hold down a job,
Mm.
I'm thinking that I'm probably going to have one dedicated employee,
Okay.
and then everybody else can be like contractors, right? But I think I'm going to have one dedicated employee that just covers South Beach,
Okay.
and they just run back and forth, picking up food and picking up and dropping off delivery equipment.
Mm.
Which there still is some logistical issues with the delivery equipment,
Okay.
but and then I'll just between my job and the stock market, just try to shave money out of there to pay that person.
Mm. Have you recently started going into cryptocurrency?
Oh yeah, I took an L in that.
Nah, I don't think that's how you should see it. If you're going in short term like stocks, then sure. But on the long term, I don't think it's an L. If you still have the coins anyway. And that's if you haven't sold. Unless you've sold, then it's really an L at that point.
No, I haven't sold, but
Okay.
I bought in like a month ago, and like 2 days after I bought in, they just tanked. Like I lost like a third of it two
Oh
days
wow.
after I bought in.
I would suggest you just keep it because
Yeah,
you
I'm about to just buy more of it.
yeah, yeah. Have you looked at this? There's a particular cryptocurrency that I've just been incredibly fascinated by, and that's Cardano.
I heard of it. I haven't really researched it.
Oh man, you should really check it out. It's interesting.
What
It's
problem
very
does it address?
okay. First of all, let me start with the part that I think would make your eyes to spark. It's written in Haskell,
Okay.
and um, essentially what it is like third generation cryptocurrency. So instead of mining it with like GPUs and CPUs, you mine it with the coin itself, right? So there is something called proof of work, which is your CPU or your GPU will perform some hash calculations, and then depending on how many hashes it can produce, that determines the amount of that determines the probability of being able to create bitcoins, create money. But proof of stake is instead the amount of money you control determines whether or not you can mine blocks, right? So if you mine blocks incorrectly, then your stake gets burned. You lose money essentially. So, but if you're so that way it prevents like malicious actors from hacking the system. But what's even more fascinating about it is that it has something called stake pools, and those stake pools you just put your money there. They use your money to mine new blocks, and then they pay you the interest on it. So you could just put in your crypto, your ADA there, and then you get a 4% interest per annum per year. You know, and
Hold on. They give you interest based on what?
they give you interest based on the amount of stake you have. They give you interest based on your wallet balance. So it's similar to a bank.
So it just doesn't go up in value. The only reason it goes up in value is because of the interest, that a fixed interest that they give you based on how much you put in.
It's not fixed per se in the sense that it's programmed into it, but more like the parameters have been tuned in such a way that you should get approximately 4% interest. So within the neighborhood of 4% interest per annum, right? And you are getting that interest in the coin itself. So if the coin were to go up in value, that becomes 4%. That becomes uh, how do I put it? That becomes the 4% plus the 10% of that 4%.
Okay.
You get that would be how much you would make in total. So it's a very fascinating cryptocurrency. Is written in Haskell. It allows you to do smart contracts. So that, say for example, you have a contract that says, when I do something for you, okay, I will send money to you, but you only get that money under certain conditions, right? So things like that. It's incredibly fascinating. It's written in Haskell, and the guys who wrote it in Haskell are pretty much, like you and I, in the sense that they care deeply about software quality and software assurance. And because money is involved, they, have even theoretical proofs that their program actually works correctly. So it's just been on my mind of recent,
Mm.
yeah, because I'm starting to realize that, my time is not infinitely flexible. As much as I want to work on so many projects, the reality of it is that, I will certainly get to saturation point, and then things will start falling apart. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And like being a programmer, it doesn't scale, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. But one of the things that like I guess I haven't been doing a good job trying to convince you of is like instead of getting paid one client at a time, like what if we could actually build something that's useful, a product or whether it's software as a product or some type of like service, and like just have people pay for it. And so like that's what I'm on.
Mm,
And I feel like that scales a whole lot more. And then like you can take that platform and then like modify it or package it up so that you can have different revenue streams based on like different components of it, which is like kind of like what I was trying to get you to help me out with. Because I mean, like, look, crypto is gambling. It is. The stock market's gambling. That is. And so, like, the only like, do they make money? Yeah, but it's very emotional and it's not logical at all. Like the technology is logical, but the way that humanity or society embraces it it's an emotional roller coaster. And so, like, I just rather not put my faith in stuff like that. Am I going to have investments in it within my portfolio? Yeah, more than likely. But I think, like, in order to really scale, man, you have to be a productive member of society that solves a problem that people are going to buy. And yeah, that's what I'm on. Like, let's build something and productize the hell out of it and like make products out of products out of products. And like one of the YouTube things, I know I'm going scatterbrain, but one of the YouTube things that I was listening to is they were saying how if you have 4 products and each of those products are like $30 for a transaction, and you do 4 of those a day. So you do 4 transactions per product and you have 4 different products, then you can make close to $1 million in revenue. And I'm
mm.
like, if that's one strategy and that's the math, then like that's what I want to do, you know? That's being an
Yeah.
employee. Because right now, like, what are we doing? We're 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 helping rich people stay rich. We're instead of completing our dream and our purpose, we're using a limited life that we have to deliver someone else's. And that's not how I want to spend the rest of my life, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, but I think there's something I would like to say though, with respect to the gambling stuff, is the short-term, high-velocity markets that are gambling, right? So if you're a long-term investor, then it's not gambling, right? Because you're not looking at a. So here's the question that I normally ask myself is, yes, it's a risk putting your money long term. Now I'm not talking about the short term, getting in and out of the market, because you will lose a lot of money that way. But long term, right? Like, you have two options, right? You could either risk your money in either buying stocks or buying bonds, or I think bonds are at an all-time low now. So we're just talking stocks. You either risk your money buying stocks or you keep it in the bank, right? So what's the alternative to not investing in, like, stocks and all those kind of stuff? The alternative is maybe either spending the money on things you cannot account for after, you know, a week or a month, or, leaving it in your bank. And if you leave it in your bank, inflation will surely eat it. Because if you look at the trend analysis over the past 10 years, right, you see that it has always been going down. The value of the dollar has been going down at a very steady rate, thanks to the Fed and so on and so forth, managing it and stuff like that. But it is going down regardless, And then when you now have an opportunity for like a scarce asset that doesn't depreciate in value. It's scarce because of its scarcity, it won't depreciate in value long term. We're talking 5 to 10 year horizons, So there's that. But then again, a part of me is like, well, I don't put all my eggs in the Bitcoin basket per se, because you have newer technologies that are coming out that actually have utility in and of themselves. So regardless of what the market is saying, right, those things are valuable. And take that from me, who is currently in a country where the government just banned Twitter out of the fucking blue. It's like, I'm telling you, man, like, when they do certain things like this, right, you have no control. You're just, and that's why I understand why, decentralized currencies, decentralized things are actually important now, because, the government has no control over that. And those are the things that will outlast any government in the end of the day. Bitcoin isn't going anywhere. You see, this Bitcoin that already exists will be there 30 years from now. It's like Bitcoin has gotten to the status of a C in programming languages. Right? C is antiquated, it's old, nobody wants to work with it, but C is not going anywhere. C is now permanent legacy, right? Too much is written in C for it to vanish. Does that make sense? So if you see Bitcoin from that perspective, just know that your children will meet Bitcoin, and then the value of Bitcoin is not whatever you think the value is right now. Does that make sense?
yeah, I'm following.
Yeah. So
But it's still, it's all Bitcoin is yes, technically it's decentralizing.
yeah.
I yes, I agree with that. But all it is speculation that gives it value. That's all it is. And
Not,
and we could say, and it's kind of different from the U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar is backed by a government that generates trillions of dollars a year and has guns, right? If people don't comply with what it wants people to do, and so it has like control, and there's a way to like forecast, and it's stable. Um, I don't know. To me, it's gambling.
no,
It's
it's not. Let me give you another example.
okay.
What about gold?
It's a
What,
limited precious metal.
yeah. How is it different from Bitcoin? Bitcoin is not. Forget the name Bitcoin and currency, digital currency. Bitcoin is pretty much gold, but digitized. That's it.
Okay.
No, think about it, right? What is a Bitcoin? A Bitcoin is just a prime number, a special prime number. That's it, right? And that special prime number came as a result of multiple calculations. That's it. So the prime number is registered. So whoever owns that Bitcoin, right, owns that prime number value. So that prime number value belongs to Scott, right? It's no different from me digging the ground and bringing out gold, right? And its value,
It's
right?
a lot different.
Okay, explain.
Gold doesn't corrode. Gold is useful when engineering
Okay.
crafts and other things. There's property, like I said,
Okay.
like anti-corrosion, etc.
Mhm.
It's something that has been recognized through multiple civilizations here on this earth.
Mhm.
It's the only argument that I probably would agree with.
I'll push back on that. You know, I'll push back on that.
You have an entire you have one of the mightiest militaries that has a dedicated fort. What is it, Fort Knox? Maybe not Fort Knox, but you actually
Wait.
have.
Let me push back on that.
Okay.
Do you know the country called Ghana?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Do you know what the original name of Ghana was?
No, I don't.
Gold Coast. You know why?
What's the Ivory Coast?
No, Ivory Coast is different from Ghana. Ghana was originally called Gold Coast.
Okay.
Then it was now renamed to Ghana. And do you know why it was called Gold Coast? It was because when the Europeans landed in Ghana, they saw gold on the floor.
Okay.
So because the Ghanaians did not need gold for anything, gold was worthless to them.
Okay.
Do you see where I'm going to with this?
It was worthless to them because they didn't have any type of infrastructure or businesses that depended on it. They weren't trading gold. They didn't recognize the value of it.
So how is gold different from Bitcoin?
Like, for example, I live on the ocean, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For most of us, day to day, water is worthless because there's so much of it until there's a drought, and then we will kill over it. Right. So I think it's the same. That may be a bad illustration or example. It's the same thing with gold. It has value once there's politics involved. And what is politics?
Okay.
It's organizations of people that battle for scarce resources.
Okay. Let's shift gold aside. How is Bitcoin different from TSLA or AAPL?
I don't know what any of that stuff is.
Yeah, that's Apple stock or Tesla stock. How is it different?
It's different because you said, how is gold different? Okay.
No. How is Bitcoin different?
Oh, how is Bitcoin different? I would say because the investment is in ideology of decentralizing. An investment is in a ledger that's read-only, that can't be modified. And I mean, let's be real. The investment is the fact that the price goes up ridiculously. And that's why the majority of people get involved with it. They don't give a damn about blockchain. They like the fact that they can buy it. They can throw $10,000 at it, and they're up $3,000 4 weeks later. That's why.
So that is correct, but that is only correct for a small section of the people who are buying Bitcoin, because you have to realize that Bitcoin is code, right? It's like your Git repository. There's a history of every transaction that is done, and if you analyze the chain, right, you will notice that 80-90% of the people who own Bitcoin have not even shifted their Bitcoin. They have never moved their Bitcoin. They've only bought more, which means that the people who are buying and selling, people who have this your mentality, right, of not your mentality, the mentality of the people you are talking about, right, they are very few, because those people don't understand what it means. Now, Bitcoin going up is not because of it's not because it's increasing in value. It's because the US dollar is falling. Does that make sense? So if you buy gold now, if you buy Nike sneakers, if you buy Yeezys, for example, and just keep it, right? over time, the value of those Yeezys will go up because people agree that Yeezys have value and so on and so forth. Same with a Picasso painting, same with Mona Lisa painting and so on and so forth. Those things increase in value. Same with land, same with housing, right? It's not because those things have inherent value or whatever the case may be. It's just for the mere fact that the currency you're holding in your hand that gets given to you is constantly falling in value. You don't really see it because the US dollar is very stable. But in my country, the naira falls like nothing. And so I see these effects on a daily basis. So for me, buying Bitcoin is a way to hedge against that devaluing, right? So for example, the last time we spoke, naira was like it was let me say 470 naira to a dollar. Right now it's 500. 503 or 506 naira to a dollar. So do you understand where I'm coming from? Like for me, the effects are more drastic, so I can see it happening. But for you, because the dollar slips ever so slightly, it's very you will even miss it if you're not watching carefully.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like Bitcoin is increasing in value because it's increasing in value. No, it's volatile. Yes, people are trading on it on a daily basis, but over time it will increase in value because the dollar itself is falling in value, and the Bitcoin may or may not be shifting in value. Does that make sense? So if you hear that Bitcoin is going up, it's typically a result of multiple factors, but one of the factors is that the US dollar itself is coming down, and every time the Federal Reserve prints more dollars, be rest assured that the dollars you're holding in your hand loses its value. That's just how it works.
I understand that.
Yeah. So, with Biden in place and, asking for even more money for social programs and stuff like that, what do you think is going to happen when, the Fed pumps even more money into the economy?
Then prices go up.
Yeah.
Well, inflation occurs.
hmm But
I
like I
get it.
said, you in the US, because it happens so systematically and so stylishly, you don't see it. But in my country, where it happens on a weekly basis, right? I see it night and day. Not to mention the fact that, like I said earlier, decentralization, making sure that my money is my money and nobody can, there's no middleman. I don't need any middleman to be able to transact with it, right? I feel like that is the selling point of Bitcoin. That's what Bitcoin brought. And believe it or not, it's still going to be here regardless, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I assume that you haven't had much time to make progress
On that stuff, right? Man, it's just been, in fact, even the project I was working for, in Edelweiss and all that, we kind of got stuck at a point, and I've not even had time to get the project on stock, which I plan to do tomorrow anyway. But yeah, I've not had time to look at it. Although, as at the last time we spoke, though, I think let me check. I had deployed the app, right? So yeah, I remember I had deployed it. Yeah, there we go. I deployed it, but I hadn't added registration module to it so that you could register and stuff like that.
are you sharing
Um,
your screen?
no.
Oh,
I can just send you the link. It's just a login page, so it's not like
yeah, I remember seeing that.
yeah. So I think that's where we stopped last time. So I think I will just push on because I made a lot of progress back then, but I've not been able to go back. So yeah,
So
but yeah, what you were about to say something?
yeah, so that's kind of the thing that, like, I'm trying. I don't know. Maybe you can have me better. Maybe you can help me have a better understanding.
Mm,
Is like earlier we were talking about like being an employee and how that's essentially accomplishing someone else's dream, right?
mm.
So it's like, is there anything that you believe in that you would build that would financially change your situation long term? And if
Uh,
so, what are you doing about it, or what's preventing you from being consistent and chipping away until you finally have it?
To be quite honest with you, um, I I actually have something that I know that if I build, is going to make me a lot of money. And the irony of the whole thing is that it's actually much easier to build. It's actually a very simple project to build. The problem is making out time to build it. So the project has to do with, being able to accept like cryptocurrency, sell it on an exchange, and then do a wire transfer to a US bank account. But getting all that done has just, I know we started the project because it's not just me. We were like four guys, and we started the project, but you know we've not done much because making out time has just been a pain. But that said, I'm thinking the best thing might be for me to maybe resume that project as well and see how it goes. To maybe do what you're doing and just put a brick a day.
Yeah,
But
I feel like that's the only way, right? Like life is going to continue happening regardless. Like there's no like opting out of life, right? It's like
yeah,
you just have to. It's like working out. It's like other things. You just have to make time, and whatever is the most important thing to you, whatever you think your purpose is, then everything else you compromise on, but not your purpose, right?
mm.
I mean, that's the way I kind of view things.
Well, I get that, but my own problem, and I know I've had this problem right from time, is my own problem is context switching. For me, context switching is so painful that I rather not do it. So, say for example, I'm working on a particular job, and all of a sudden I'm told, "Oh, switch over to this new project and start fixing bugs in this new project." Just switching context alone is incredibly painful for me. So I sometimes I have to make this context switching easier. I have to just restart my machine, right? So that I can have a fresh, you know, desktop, a fresh mind, fresh thoughts and all of that. So I think that has been my major stumbling block in terms of being able to work on multiple projects at the same time. So it's something that I may need to get better at, but right now it's just not easy at all. Because for me it's almost like I don't know if you've played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
No,
Have you played Burnout Dominator or Burnout Paradise or something?
nope.
I'm trying to think of a game that uses multipliers, right? So have you ever played any game
Yeah,
that you
Grand Theft Auto. The more jobs you complete, the faster your cash starts, or your bank account starts to accelerate.
is that how, no, yes, but it's different because I wish I could use a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater to explain it, but this is how it works, right? So where in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you start skating, and every time you do a trick, if you do a certain combo of tricks, you get a multiplier, so you get it like times two. So if you do a combo of trick and get to times two multiplier, then the you any trick you do now has multiplied by two. The score for that trick becomes multiplied by two. And if you do another set of tricks, you could get to multiply by three, multiply by four. And if you chain it long enough without crashing, without hitting your head, without falling, without making a mistake, you can get to a 10x multiplier. And at that 10x, any little trick you do is going to give you huge points, right? So that's how it is with me and productivity. When I start, right, for me to really get a lot done, I have to keep, making sure that I hit that my maybe 10x productivity multiplier. And if anywhere I get interrupted, I go back to zero. So it's so frustrating for me because um sometimes I could be working on a particular project, and if I have to switch, then I go back to zero. And if I have to switch back, I have to go back to zero again. Whereas if I just used a huge block of time to work on something, right, I might have even gotten like 10x the amount of productivity I would have gotten if I was doing that context switching. That's how it feels for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I look at things differently. So, like, I got so many back-end services. I got like 3 different mobile apps, all revolving around this one application or this one business thingy.
Mm, okay.
And I mean, like, I don't know, like, I think I listen to motivational videos, and one of the motivational videos sometimes when I run is Will Smith talking about, laying that one brick at a time perfectly, right?
Mm,
And he's saying that, you lay it as perfectly as possible, one at a time, and you just keep consistently doing that.
mm,
And life life passes you up, right? And so like
yeah.
you do this for a year or two, you're going to go from like a quarter of a shack to a hut to like a single to like or should I say a single family home. Like it's
Mm,
over time, it just starts to compound, right? Same thing with Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. Like you keep doing the same thing over and or not the same thing, but if you consistently do what you need to do, whether it's eating healthy or going for your run or investing in Bitcoin, regardless of if it's going up or going down, after
mm,
like a couple years, like there's a huge effect.
mm,
And so like I just try to just maintain rituals. And when I'm doing like my hour in the morning, hour in the evening, like daily quota,
mhm,
I treat coding as like I'm working on Sudoku or I'm working on a jigsaw puzzle for an hour. That's the way I
yeah.
look at it. It
Mhm,
trains my mind to keep it sharp. And then after I get in my hour minimal, then
mhm.
I get on my motorcycle or I do some hood rat things and that's it. But over time, it just gradually builds and builds and builds. So I mean, I kind of that's my mindset, and I'm not sure if you've considered looking at it like that.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense, right? So I essentially the I would be trading the multiplier effect for consistency over a longer time frame, right? Um, and that does make sense. That does make sense. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do just that. Just have maybe even if it's 30 minutes or an hour every day. I do it, restart my machine, and then get to work. And maybe after work, restart my machine and just do it for another hour and rinse and repeat. You know. So yeah, that does make sense.
I mean, it works for me, and like once I start, it's kind of like working out. Once you do your first set or your first couple reps, then you're good probably for the next half an hour of just doing something productive, right?
Mm,
So,
okay, that does make sense. That makes sense. Anyway, it's really great speaking with you for after so long. I know we should have had this conversation, a lot earlier, but I have to run. It's almost 9 p.m. here, believe it or not. I know it's like 4 p.m. for you.
yeah.
So so yeah, and yeah, there are some stuff I really want to get to, in the home here. Because like I told you, I just came back and yeah, need to prepare because tomorrow I have to head back to work as well. But that said, I think you know I will try this your approach and see how that goes for me this week.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Do you read books?
Uh, to be honest, I listen to audiobooks mostly, but books per se of recent I've not listened to anything. Um, it's okay. Compound Effect.
I recommend that book. I mean, there's an audiobook. I listened to the audiobook.
Okay.
You probably find it on YouTube. Let me see. Hold up. I know you got to go, but I just want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. No problem. You can just send me the link if you find it.
Okay.
Compound Effect audiobook.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's when I yeah, it looks like the whole thing's there. So
wow.
like I listen to it, and that's pretty much whatever I value in life that I know is going to get me to my destination.
Uh-huh.
Like I just try to. That's my daily ritual. Period. Like
Okay.
there's no like, will I do it today? No, F that. It's my daily habit. It's my ritual. And so
Uh-huh.
here's the link. I'll just send it to you, and maybe this helps or something. I'll just put it in
Yeah.
public chat. So
Hopefully. Okay, got it.
yeah. All right, Odie, it's been real. So
All right, man. Thanks.
you know, take
Yeah.
care. Bye.
Bye.